Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhare Gopijana Vallabha Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhare Sodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhare Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhare Yasodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Prabhujakacharya Shishimad. His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, Anantakota Vaishnava ki jai, Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prem Sikha Host Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Yamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Vrindavan ki jai. Shri Maya Purnavidam ki jai. Ganga Maya ki jai. Jamuna Maya ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Gau Premanandi. All glorious some devotees, all glorious some devotees, all glorious some devotees, all glorious, Shishi Guru and Shigaranga. I think I'm going to need a book. I haven't memorized the Srimad Bhagavatam yet. It's 3:25:25. One of the most famous verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatamarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshram Militam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Mukam Kutvachalam Bangam Hayadegrim Yat Kripataraham Bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Vanshakapatribhishcha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Bhavani Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is Canto 3, Chapter 25, text number 25. Satāṁ, prasaṅgān, mama, vīrya-saṁvido, bhavanti, hṛt-karṇa-rasāyanāḥ, kathāḥ, taj-joṣaṇād, apavarga-vartmani, śraddhā, ratir, bhaktir, anukramiṣyati satāṁ prasaṅgān mama vīrya-saṁvido bhavanti hṛt-karṇa-rasāyanāḥ taj-joṣaṇād apavarga-vartmani śraddhā ratir bhaktir anukramiṣyati satāṁ prasaṅgān mama vīrya-saṁvido bhavanti hṛt-karṇa-rasāyanāḥ taj-joṣaṇād apavarga-vartmani śraddhā ratir bhaktir anukramiṣyati satāṁ prasaṅgān mama vīrya-saṁvido bhavanti hṛt-karṇa-rasāyanāḥ taj-joṣaṇād apavarga-vartmani śraddhā ratir bhaktir anukramiṣyati satāṁ prasaṅgān mama vīrya-saṁvido bhavanti hṛt-karṇa-rasāyanāḥ joṣaṇāt apavarga-vartmani satāṁ prasaṅgān mama vīrya-saṁvido śraddhā ratir bhaktir anukramiṣyati satāṁ prasaṅgān mama vīrya-saṁvido hṛt-karṇa-rasāyanāḥ joṣaṇāt apavarga-vartmani śraddhā ratir bhaktir anukramiṣyati. Mataji's. Satāṁ prasaṅgān mama vīrya-saṁvido hṛt-karṇa-rasāyanāḥ joṣaṇāt apavarga-vartmani śraddhā ratir bhaktir anukramiṣyati satāṁ prasaṅgān mama vīrya-saṁvido bhavanti hṛt-karṇa-rasāyanāḥ apavarga-vartmani ratir bhaktir anukramiṣyati satāṁ of pure devotees, prasaṅgāt, through the association, mama, my, vīrya, wonderful activities, saṁvidaḥ, by discussion of, bhavanti, become, hṛt, to the heart, karna, to the ear, rasa-ayanāḥ, pleasing, kathāḥ, the stories, tat, of that, joṣaṇāt, my cultivation, asu, quickly, apavarga, of liberation, vartmani, on the path, śraddhā, firm faith, ratir, attraction, bhakti, devotion, anukramiṣyati, will follow in order. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and to the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed, and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begins. Purport. The process of advancing in Krishna consciousness and devotional service is described here. The first point is that one must seek the association of persons who are Krishna conscious and who are engaged in devotional service. One of the great gifts Srila Prabhupada gave to us is he created so much nice association all around the world. So many wonderful devotees engaged in devotional service. Of course, he gave us this knowledge, he gave us these wonderful books. But the result of that is that so many nice devotees have come. So this is something we should feel grateful for. Association of devotees. Without such association, one cannot make advancement. Simply by a theoretical knowledge or study, one cannot make any appreciable advancement. One must give up the association of materialistic persons and seek the association of devotees, because without the association of devotees, one cannot understand the activities of the Lord. It's like, imagine if you were here in Los Angeles, you lived in Los Angeles, and you were the only devotee. It'd be kind of scary. Only devotee. Can't talk about Krishna. You don't have anybody to discuss Krishna kathāḥ with. Prabhupada, when he went to New York City, he was the only devotee there. But because he was so potent, he had such shakti, he made devotees. And not only did he make devotees, but he sent devotees around to make more devotees. They got the shakti, the potency from Srila Prabhupada to go around the world and make devotees. Amazing. Amazing personality Srila Prabhupada is. Generally, people are convinced of the impersonal feature of the absolute truth because they do not associate with devotees. They cannot understand that the absolute truth can be a person and have personal activities. This is a very difficult subject matter, and unless one has personal understanding of the absolute truth, there is no meaning to devotion. Service or devotion cannot be offered to anything impersonal. Service must be offered to a person. Non-devotees cannot appreciate Krishna consciousness by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam or any other Vedic literature wherein the activities of the Lord are described. They think that these activities are fictional, manufactured stories, because spiritual life is not explained to them in the proper mood. To understand the personal activities of the Lord, one has to seek the association of devotees. And by such association, when one contemplates and tries to understand the transcendental activities of the Lord, the path to liberation is open, and he is freed. One who has firm faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes fixed, and his attraction for association with the Lord and the devotees increases. Association with devotees means association with the Lord. The devotee who makes this association develops the consciousness for rendering service to the Lord. And then, being situated in the transcendental position of devotional service, he gradually becomes perfect. So this hearing about Krishna is very pleasing to the ear and to the heart. And the more we hear about Krishna, our hearing becomes refined. And we only want to hear about Krishna. There's so many subject matters that one can hear in this material world. But a devotee is only interested in hearing about Krishna. So his hearing ability becomes refined, only Krishna. And the heart also becomes big-hearted when one only hears about Krishna. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he had a very big heart. And therefore, so many devotees came to the shelter of Lord Krishna. So this comes by hearing. And we have to hear very attentively. We have an amazing phenomenon in our ISKCON society. At night, you may be trying to sleep. The lights are out. You're laying down. There's not too much noise. Some. But still you can't sleep. But you come to Bhagavatam class. You're sitting up. The lights are on. There's sound. But as soon as Om Namo Bhagavate verse comes on, eyes start to get heavy. It's amazing, isn't it? I'm also guilty of that. It's amazing. Why is that? Because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said the mind is a non-devotee. It doesn't want to hear. It doesn't want to hear about Krishna. This is the problem. Our mind is diseased, non-devotee. But Srila Prabhupada has come and he's turned many minds into devotees. So our mind is in the bhakta program. We're trying to turn our mind into a bhakta. And we'll know when our mind is a devotee, when we're eager to hear. When we're eager to hear about Krishna. When we're eager to hear about Krishna, then we get purified. We want to hear attentively. I'll give you an example. Imagine there's a house on fire, three-story building. And there's people, a couple people are screaming out the window for help. Building's on fire, they're screaming out the window. And then the fire truck comes, and the firemen, they have their bullhorns, and they're shouting up to the ladies what to do. So you can imagine how attentive they'll be. Yeah. Because it's a matter of life and death. If they hear attentively and they follow the instructions, they can live. So they'll hear very attentively. So we should also hear Srimad Bhagavatam very attentively, because it's a matter of life and death, actually. If we hear attentively, our spiritual life will blossom. But if we're not attentive, if we fall asleep, then it's difficult to blossom in our spiritual life. So attentiveness is so important. There's an interesting thing that happened in Australia. When Prabhupada was on the planet, this maybe 1972? 4. You were there in Australia at that time? there was a fire in a building, and there was 3 ladies screaming out the building, fire, fire. So at that time, they were getting ready for Rath Yatra. And they had, we have these big tarps that cover the cart. So I think it was Vaibhavi, Choru's wife, who was up in Utah. She told the devotees, get the tarp, and all the men, pull it tight, and tell them to jump. That's 3 stories up. So the men, about 10 men, they grabbed the tarp, and they pulled it as tight as they could, and they told the ladies, jump. And it's long waves, So they were hesitant, but the fire's coming. So one of them, the boldest one, jumped first, and she was safe. And the others saw, and one after the other, they jumped, and they all lived by the mercy of the devotees. So then Vaibhavi also told the devotees, call the newspapers, let them know. And the next day it was front page in the newspapers. Hare Krishna is saved, ladies are ready to die in fire. And then they sent this article to Prabhupada. Prabhupada was so happy. He was so happy. He told them, send me more articles. I want more. And he would show it to the guests. So these ladies, they heard attentively, and they saw. Somehow they had faith in the devotees, and they were saved. So this is also about faith, this verse. If we hear nicely, then we gain, śraddhā, ratir, bhaktir, anukramiṣyati. The first thing that happens is we get faith. Like there's So it's systematic. First we get some preliminary faith. And it's not that difficult to get preliminary faith in Krishna. Just like in Miami, there was one devotee who was calling around Miami and asking people, what is it you like the most about the Hare Krishnas? Doing a little survey. And what people like most about the Hare Krishnas is that they go out and they sing and dance. We're the only people in the world that all over the world we go out to the public and we sing and dance. They've been sending these, in London they have these amazing Harinams, and so many people participate in the Harinams. Anybody seen these videos? Very fired up, it's amazing. So not only do we go out and we sing and dance, but people come and they participate also. I remember I was in Germany one time, we were having Harinam, about 100 devotees. It was really ecstatic Harinam. Satyanandana Swami was there, a couple other Swamis, very, very nice. So there was a couple ladies that jumped in and was joining the Harinam, dancing, trying to sing, chant the mantra. And I had some books, so I was showing the books to the ladies. And they bought a couple of books, and the Harinam had gone. And they said, hey, wait, don't leave us. And they ran on to catch the Harinam, very enthusiastic. So people get faith just by seeing the devotees singing and dancing. Another one is prasadam. We distribute so much prasadam. And also, of course, books. People get Prabhupada's books. Not only does it create faith, but sometimes it happens that people actually join the movement because they like what they're hearing, like many of us. We read this knowledge given in Prabhupada's books, and it was very attractive, and we gained faith. So much faith that we joined this movement. Adao śraddhā, the taj-joṣaṇād. And from that preliminary faith, then we want to associate with people that are living these teachings. When I first read the Bhagavad Gita, I didn't know that there was a society where people are living these teachings. A few days later, I heard that there was, and I was excited. I want to see these people. I want to associate with these people. And then shortly after, I did. And I went to the temple there in Miami, and my faith increased. But what most impressed me about the devotees was their speech. Devotees, because they're learning from Prabhupada. Prabhupada, his speech was so wonderful. It's like devotees, they would go to Prabhupada and they would have so many problems in their life. And they would go to Prabhupada for some help, and they would just sit there and they would hear Prabhupada. There would be other devotees there, they would just hear Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada would say, is there any difficulty? Any problem? No problem, no problem. Just sitting there and hearing Srila Prabhupada, whatever difficulty, whatever problems may have been there, dissipated. Just hearing Srila Prabhupada. Because he's so pure. He's got the mercy of Krishna. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains the austerity of speech. To speak that which is truthful, that which is pleasing, that which is beneficial. What's the verse? Anybody know that verse? See, Krishna is the source of all remembrance and forgetfulness. I know that verse very well, but it's not coming. Anudvega-karāṇa-rasāyanāḥ satyam priyam hitangcha svadhyabhyasanam cha vanmayam tapausyate. This is the austerity of speech. Anudvegam-karāṇa-rasāyanāḥ satyam, speak that which is truthful. Satyam priyam hitangcha, speak that which is beneficial. Always repeating the Vedic literatures. So these are some of the austerity of speech. And Prabhupada, he was expert at speaking this philosophy. And therefore, I'm sure for many, many thousands of years, devotees will be hearing Prabhupada's lectures. Now we have, about 1,200 lectures, I think. And devotees are hearing them. And it's so nice to hear Prabhupada. Increases the faith. Adao shraddhā sadhu saṅgata bhajana kriya. And from this association with the devotees, then we hear about something which is very important, and that is devotional service. We hear about devotional service. When I was in Miami, I was chanting japa in front of the deities. And there was another devotee chanting japa in front of the deities. This was after the morning program. And one devotee came to me and said he asked me if I could do some service. And I said, yeah, sure. But before I left, the other devotee that was chanting, he said, you must be chanting Hare Krishna more sincerely than me, because they went to you to ask for service rather than me. I said, oh, okay, so that's how that works, okay. Because when we're chanting, we're praying for service. Right? That's what we're doing. It's a prayer, Krishna, please, engage me in your loving service. This is what we're praying for. And fortunately, we have so many different types of service to engage in. Book distribution, we have deity worship, cooking, so many preaching programs going on. It's amazing. I'm up in ISV now, and Vijaya Prabhu, he's an incarnation of different ways Innovation, yeah, he's very innovative, always thinking of different ways to engage the devotees and to bring the non-devotees closer to Krishna. They have this bhakti community that people are plugging into. So nice. So there's so many ways that we can serve Krishna. And this is the perfection of the human form of life, is to engage in devotional service. Of course, the goal is pure devotional service, not an easy thing to achieve, but it's there, actually. Nitya siddha, Krishna prema, sajja kabano, shravanadi sudachite korya yudoy. That this love for Krishna, it's there in the hearts of all living entities, and it's awoken by this hearing. Yeah? Hearing, it's there. We just have to reawaken it. Just like within wood, there's fire. It just has to be ignited. Yeah? But sometimes you get this wood that's waterlogged. It's just filled with water, and one may think, well, you can't water that wood. I mean, you put fire to that wood, but actually you can. But the fire has to be under the wood for a long time. And then eventually the moisture is evaporated. And then the fire hits the wood. So sometimes I think I'm a little bit a waterlogged soul. So it's difficult, for that fire of devotional service to come up. But if we're patient, if we continue this chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare, then this fire of devotional service, it'll come out. But patience is very important. So, Daushoda tata sadhu sangata bhajanakriya, taton artha nivritisha. Now it gets tough. We got some preliminary faith, we got some association with the devotees, we got some service. Now to remove unwanted habits, that's the difficult part. Like it said that habit is second nature. So to give up this bad nature that we have, to try to enjoy this material world, to try to be the enjoyer, the proprietor, this is difficult. But possible. By practice and by detachment. It's possible. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada, he says, he explains how the Hare Krishna mantra, it's ever fresh. You could chant it many times. Prabhupada says 24 hours a day. And now we have devotees that have been chanting their 16 rounds for over 50 years, enthusiastically, and even writing books about it. Satyanandana Swami, he's written 3 or 4 books about the holy name. So he's got a real taste, for the holy name. So nice. So Prabhupada's explaining that we have these machines now, we have these computers, and we have these phones where you can call right now to India, 10,000 miles away, and you can connect. You can get the sound. But he says there's another subtle transcendental machine called Bhagavat Prem. And it's trillions and trillions of miles away, but you can connect with that. Bhagavat Prem. This is subtle connection. Bhagavat Prem. Yes. So Krishna, he's known as the most subtle. And we are also subtle. We can't be seen. Even with the most powerful microscope, you can't see it. We're subtle. And this process is subtle. But if we connect with Krishna, we, the subtle soul in this body, connect with the supreme subtle Krishna, then we achieve the highest goal of life, which is the happiness of devotional service. And this is the nature of the soul: eternality, knowledge, and bliss. So the more we connect to Krishna, the more we experience our true eternal nature. And this brings satisfaction. All the other things in this world, they don't bring satisfaction. One purport in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says, the so-called happiness that the living entity experiences in this world is the ultimate enemy of the sense enjoyer. Not just an enemy, the ultimate enemy. Because he's in illusion. He's thinking that this is happiness, but no, it's maya sukhaya. It's illusory happiness. It's not real happiness. So they're stuck in this illusion. So being stuck in this illusion, they can't search for the real happiness, which is Krishna consciousness. So when there's difficulty, it's actually a blessing, because that's when people start to question. It's called life quakes, just like here in Los Angeles, 1993. Was anybody here for that earthquake, 1993? Anybody? Was it 93? Earthquake here. Was it 93? I think it was 93. 94. Okay, it was 94. It was amazing. 94. You were here. We had just paid obeisances to Gaura Nitai. And we were going to pay obeisances to Rukmini Dwarkadis. And one Mataji upstairs, she started screaming. And we're thinking, why is she screaming? Because she saw the chandeliers shaking. She was the first to notice. And then the whole building just shaking. And many devotees just ran out of the building. Myself and a few, we jumped on the altar. I had my hand right next to Dwarkadis, just in case he moved. He didn't move at all. And there were some other devotees jumped on the altar just in case the deities moved. And yeah, they didn't move at all. After the whole thing happened, then Savas had Ratnabhushan, that now there's these pipes behind, just in case there's an earthquake. And it's a bigger earthquake, then the deities will be protected from falling over. But that was intense. And there were some devotees who I heard later that didn't come into Mangalartik, and they were sleeping just when it happened, and they're thinking, oh, Krishna's smashing me for not going to Mangalartik. So the next day, everybody was at Mangalartik. But the Mangalartik wasn't here. They took the deities. We had a bus. They took all the deities to a bus, and we were having Mangalartik out there. That was pretty far experience. So that's a earthquake. So there's life quakes also. Sometimes people have these traumatic experiences in their life, and it just completely shakes them up. You know, it's like, I don't know, a very close friend might die, or there's divorce, and there's so many different types of life quakes, which are good, because that helps us wake up. It shakes us up. I had a life quake myself, and it shook me up so much that I found the Bhagavad Gita, and I said, all right, this is good. This is good. And Queen Kunti, she prays for life quakes. Vipada santata sasvat tatra tatra jagatguru bhavato darsanam yatsad apuna bhavadarsanam. Please, Krishna, give me life quakes. Give me calamity. Give me more and more. Give me calamity, please. Give me calamity. Why? Why? Because when calamity comes, then I take shelter of Krishna. Then we get Bhava Darshan. Then we get the darshan of Krishna. We could either have the darshan of the material world. Anybody want to have the darshan again of the material world in their next life? No. We want to have darshan of Krishna. So difficulties give rise to taking shelter of Krishna. So they're welcomed. And she also says that Janmaisvarya Shuta Shribir Edamanam Banapama Naivarhatya Batatum Vai Tramakinchana Gotram. She says, Krishna, you are very easily approachable, but only by those persons who are materially exhausted. But those persons who want high birth, janma, aishvarya, money, opulence, shruta, education, shri, beauty, they cannot call out your name with devotion. So it's a blessing, actually, to be in a difficult situation, because that's opportunity. Just like if you go to South America, practically everybody is theistic. Practically everybody believes in God. You go to Europe, and I don't know the exact percentage, but I think it's about 80% atheist. Well, I don't need God. I got everything I need. All right? So it's actually a curse to be very opulent, to be very beautiful, to be very educated with material education. See, in the universities, they're teaching the attachment, or they're teaching about material attachment, how to become attached to get things. You know, they go to universities to get, basically you get a good job, you can make good money. So they can get a lot of opulence. But in Krishna consciousness, we're teaching detachment. Detachment. Actually, nothing is ours anyway. Right? Everything that exists is owned and controlled by Krishna. Isavashamidang sarvam yat kincha jagachyam jika. Tina chaktina bunjiga magurdhas vasati. Everything belongs to Krishna. Therefore, we should only accept that which we need as our quota and not accept more. Otherwise, we become entangled again. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya, he says, na dhanam, na janam, no sundarim. He says, I don't want wealth. I don't want followers. I don't want beautiful women. Then what do you want? I mean, this is what everybody wants. Wealth, not dhanam, not janam, followers, beautiful women, or handsome husband. This is what everybody wants. What do you want? I don't even want liberation. I want to engage in loving service to Krishna. This is the highest desire. And this is the wealthy person. Prema dana vana vyāda daridra jivan. Lord Chaitanya in the Sikshastika, you know, you get these beautiful Sikshastika verses, but in between those verses, there's also very nice verses. Prema dana vana vyāda daridra jivan dasakari vitāramare deha prema dana. He says that if one does not have love for Krishna, then one is considered to be a daridra jivan, a poor soul. He may be a multi-billionaire. He may be a multi-trillionaire. But if he doesn't have love for Krishna, poor soul. Poor soul. But if one has nothing, just like in Vrindavan, Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, they had nothing. They were living under different trees. They were homeless. But they were the wealthiest. They were the wealthiest people on the planet, because they had so much love for Krishna. Prabhupada also, he came to America. He had 40 rupees, which is nothing. You couldn't even change it back then. He had nothing, but he was the wealthiest person on the planet because he was bubbling over with Krishna consciousness. So much so that it spread from that city, the Big Apple. It spread all over the world. because this Krishna consciousness was just bubbling over. If you look in the, I looked in the folio. Krishna's name, maybe can someone look it up now. I think it's 150,000 times you find Krishna's name in Prabhupada's books and in his lectures. It was just bubbling over with Krishna consciousness, and people were catching it. Yeah. So wealthy with devotion. So we want to catch that wealth. Money is dirty in more ways than one. So, those are a few thoughts on this verse. Is there any question or comment? Yes, Prabhu. You have a microphone installed.
I don't usually use a microphone. When you told the story about, when you were saying how we should be eager to hear.
Put the mic closer to your mouth, please, so everybody can hear it, including those outside of the temple. Thank you.
So when you were telling that, when you were speaking about, enthusiasm or eagerness to hear, I was thinking there's a story, a time that resonates in my life. When I went to see my father, I got a phone call that he was on his deathbed and he was going to be dying very soon. So come to New York. So I flew to New York. I arrived very late at night. And I sat down with Bhagavad Gita. It was probably 1 or 2 in the morning, and I just started reading to him. I gave him Ganges water as well in his mouth. So I was tired. So I stopped for a few minutes, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whatever time it was. And suddenly I hear this voice. My father says, "This is very interesting. Please keep reading." So I thought, okay, he's eager to hear. So I continued to read, and then we had a conversation. He actually woke up out of this state where he was dying. We had a very nice conversation. And we spoke about Krishna, and I told him what was going to happen at the time of death, not to worry, et cetera, et cetera. Then the sun is coming up, and the doctor walks into the room. And he looks at my father. He says, "Melvin, what is going on? You look like you're ready to go home." He was like we're speaking here. He says, "Doctor, Hare Krishna is here." And shortly thereafter, he left his body. But I was just thinking how we come to Bhagavatam class, we start to doze off, we're tired. Here's my father in a death situation where he was practically dead.
You gave him life before he died.
And then he says, "Keep reading. This is very interesting." So it kind of resonated in my heart when you were speaking this. So I just wanted to share that story
very nice.
with everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, I wanted to get your comment because in the purport, one of the lines that we read was, "Non-devotees cannot appreciate Krishna consciousness by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam or any other Vedic literature wherein the activities of the Lord are described because they think these activities are fictional, manufactured stories." So I wanted to ask your opinion, especially because you're the book distribution minister. How do you interpret that as a book distributor, that when we do so many Bhagavatams for Bhadra campaign and etc.?
Well, one little correction first. I was the minister of book distribution. And I was trying to give it to Vaisesika Prabhu for years, and finally he accepted. So he's the minister of book distribution now. Thank Krishna for that. But yeah, some people, there's a lot of people out there that just think it's Hindu mythology. Right? I mean, there's a lot of far out things. We believe a lot of far out things. But, what is impossible for Krishna? So if someone is very materialistic, then they can't understand, Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill or expanding himself into, 16,000 forms. And this is just because they have mundane consciousness. So they can't appreciate it. They just think it's mythology because there's no faith. Yeah. So, but Srila Prabhupada, he had such purity, and he was also very intelligent. He was very intelligent, and he had such faith. Also, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was so intelligent, but so much faith, that people that had no faith gained faith. Just like this lady who's the temple president now in the Bhaktivedanta Manor, Visakha Dasi. She's the president there. She was an atheist. Her whole life, she was an atheist, and she was married to, what's his name, Yadubar, who went to India. This is 1970, and he was going to do some story on the Hare Krishnas in India, but he was also on like a bit of a search. So Prabhupada's purity captured Yadubar, and at one point Prabhupada said to Yadubar, "I think Krishna has captured you." And he agreed, yes, Krishna has, he's got me. So then he invited Vishakha. I don't think they were married at the time, but they were engaged. So she came, and Prabhupada captured her because of his purity. She was a full-on atheist. And Prabhupada then asked her, Prabhupada heard that she was an atheist before. And then he asked her, "But you became a Hare Krishna, how was that? You were an atheist." And she replied, "Your mercy, Prabhupada." So Prabhupada was giving out a lot of mercy. Even atheists became devotees. Many atheists became devotees from hearing from Srila Prabhupada. This is Shakti. There's a statement that Prabhupada says in the purport that the pure devotee, he does not have a material body because of his being surcharged with the current of Krishna's identical interests. Very interesting statement. He was so surcharged with this current that in New York City, people were joining. Just like Mukunda. Mukunda, he had joined there. He's the oldest initiated devotee in ISKCON. Oh no, in Satsumars. And then I think they all took, yeah. So he told Prabhupada, he was, huh? Yeah, Mukunda was there, and he was in the first. So Mukunda at one point, he said, he told Prabhupada, "I'm going to India now." He was just stepping out. "Prabhupada, I'm going to India now." And Prabhupada said, "Okay, have a nice trip." And he said, "Yeah, I'm going to stop off in San Francisco, then I'm going to go to India." And Prabhupada said, nonchalantly, no big plan, "Oh, you're going to San Francisco? Maybe you could start a center in San Francisco." He said, "All right," just nonchalantly, just nothing, no big organization. So he went with his wife and Jamuna, and then they found Sam, who became Syamasundar, and Malati, and they started a center in San Francisco. And so many people were coming, because that was called the Summer of Love. Thousands of hippies were going to San Francisco. And they were taking prasadam and participating in all the activities there, and they were just the devotees were having an ecstatic time bringing people to Krishna. And it became so big that I think it was Mukunda, he called Prabhupada, "Prabhupada, so many people are coming. I think you should come to San Francisco." He said, "Yes, I'm ready." They sent him a ticket. And he had never been on a plane before. Imagine, he's 70 years old, never been on a plane before. That must have been quite an experience. So they flew him. And what's amazing is that when they went to the airport, they brought 50 people. There's the devotees there, and 50 people. So they were chanting so loud. Back then, there was no security. So they were right there at the gate. So when the doors opened, Prabhupada heard the loud. These are young men and women, so they were loud. So I'm sure when the doors opened, Prabhupada could hear the chanting. So this is called Shakti. Prabhupada had not stepped a foot in San Francisco, and there's 50 people loudly chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then he started sending people to Australia and to Germany and to Los Angeles and Japan. And they got this current from Srila Prabhupada. This is how it spread around. Prabhupada had this purity, amazing purity. People would hear him, and they would catch it, and they would convince people. Then Prabhupada would go to Australia, and there would already be so many devotees there, because the current was there already. And wherever Prabhupada would go, he would go to Mexico, he would go to Venezuela. Wherever he would go, there's already devotees there, because the current was being spread around by the mercy of Prabhupada. There's only one other place where Prabhupada went where there wasn't any devotees yet, and that was Russia. And he started it there too. That one person got a Bhagavad Gita, and from that one Bhagavad Gita, so many people became devotees in Russia. That's Prabhupada Shakti. That one person, he's preached to him for like 3 days. And that was a spark. And it spread all over Russia. Now there's so many devotees, thousands of devotees in Russia. By that one visit. Amazing. It was amazing. Prabhupada, just amazing. Okay, on that, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki? Yeah. Oh. There's an announcement by our Devavrata